Hello and welcome to the Met Office 10-day trend. At the time of recording, Storm Ali is bringing serious impacts to parts of the British Isles, and there'll be further areas of low pressure affecting our weather over the next few days, bringing more gale force winds to parts of the country, as well as, at times, heavy rainfall. However, the promising signs are that high pressure will build through next week, bringing calmer and drier conditions to most parts. So it's a 10-day trend of two halves, if you like, and the first half characterised by a strong jet stream barrelling across the Atlantic and bringing deep areas of low pressure with it. Now, this is Storm Ali moving through Northern Ireland and into Scotland as we go through Wednesday, and still very strong winds for the far north as we begin Thursday, but eventually it calms down. A brief gap through daylight hours on Thursday, but as night falls, another low pressure coming along. And you'll notice how the isobars are tightest across parts of England and Wales for this feature. That's where the strongest winds will be as we end Thursday and go into Friday morning. Then northwesterlies bringing blustery conditions through Friday, but another gap as we begin the weekend before a third area of low pressure potentially brings strong winds across parts of the country. Again, England and Wales especially on Sunday, but I say potentially because there is a lot of uncertainty wrapped up in this system. More on that in a moment. It's the north then that is seeing the strongest of the winds through Wednesday, but by the start of Thursday, well, those winds begin to ease, and for many places we'll start off with lighter winds, but an area of rainfall stretching all the way from Storm Ali out to the next low pressure system will bring a finger of cloud and wet weather through the Midlands into Wales and northwest England especially. And it's for Wales and the northwest of England where we're likely to see 40 to 60 millimetres of rainfall from this persistent wet weather. And over the hills of North Wales and Cumbria, well, we could see as much as 100 millimetres of rainfall. Risk of problems on the roads, risk of localised flooding, rainfall warning in force. A completely different story to the north and to the south. Sunny skies, cool in the north with a few showers, warm. We're drawing up this warm weather behind the rainfall across East Anglia in the southeast, 22 or 23 degrees. But it turns much windier later in the day, and this is into Thursday evening. Wet weather spreads into central and southern Scotland as well as Northern Ireland, but this area of particularly heavy rain likely to be accompanied by strengthening winds, some wind gusts of 50 miles an hour, especially around coasts and hills as that moves through during Thursday night and into the early hours of Friday. And there is the risk that as that clears, we'll see even stronger winds than 50 miles per hour. A small risk at the moment, but certainly something we'll be keeping a close eye on. So these kinds of wind speeds can cause impacts. A noisy night to come as that wet and windy weather moves through. A wind warning in force. A wet night for Scotland and Northern Ireland as well. But as we wake up on Friday, much of that clears through. Still a blustery day to come. Frequent showers moving in with hail and thunder and a cool airflow, but things quietening down through Friday afternoon into the evening. A very brief slither of high pressure in between areas of low pressure as we begin Saturday. For many, drier, calmer, brighter start to the weekend. But it doesn't last long because the next system pushes in. More rain for Wales and the southwest into Saturday afternoon, and that weather spreads across many parts through the second half of the weekend. But it's the wind again that is the main cause for concern into the weekend, and big uncertainties by the time we get to Sunday. Here's the low pressure, and it's being carried by the jet stream, and subtle differences in how the low pressure at the surface interacts with the jet stream above will make big differences in how deep it is by Sunday. And of course that means big differences in how windy it will be across England and Wales in particular. Now, this is the outcome from 4 different computer models, and you can see how subtle changes in the interaction with the jet stream lead to, well, quite flat conditions for this area of low pressure in one model, but a quite deep low for the low pressure in another model. Now, what we consider the most likely scenario is for a typical autumn low to cross parts of England and Wales through Sunday and into Monday, bringing strong winds, a yellow warning in force. But we are a long way off. It is worth keeping up to date with the forecast for this one in particular. The forecast may change over the next few days. And as that pulls away, if it is indeed a deep area of low pressure, we'll see a northerly wind, and that could cause issues on the coasts and the beaches with big waves as we begin the working week next week. But unusually, we have higher confidence for next week's forecast compared to this weekend, because most computer models are in agreement that high pressure will then build. And this is helped by a big area of low pressure on the other side of the Atlantic, which will dig the jet stream to the south here and then drive it to the north of the UK through next week. And this is also helped by warm air moving up through the mid-Atlantic, helping to strengthen that jet stream as it pushes north of the UK. And there'll be a lack of tropical storms in the Atlantic, and that means that it's looking a bit more straightforward without those features causing a headache for us as we go through the next 10 days. So quieter conditions developing certainly through next week. The most likely scenario is that high pressure will build, and that does of course mean that we'll see drier and calmer weather with less wet and windy weather, warmer days with some sunshine, but of course it is the autumn. We're going to see some chilly nights and some misty mornings. Lots going on over the next few days though, so always worth keeping up to date with the weather warnings and the weather forecast through the Met Office website.